Welcome, everyone, to Diversified Lifelong Advisors, where our mission is to have you live in a life filled with wealth, health, and happiness. I'm Andrew Rosen, president of Diversified Lifelong Advisors. Today, we have a very special guest, the one and only Jayne Williams, who is a certified integrative health and nutrition expert. Thanks for joining me, Jayne.
Thanks so much for having me. And I'm so excited to talk to your community today to shed some light on a few, hopefully awesome tips that will help them along their journey, because that's what this is all about.
That's right. So start by telling us about yourself.
Yes. So as you said, I'm a certified integrative nutritionist. I have an additional degree in gut health, which is truly a passion of mine because that's the journey I walked with my own health. Back in my 20s, I suffered with a lot of gut issues, anxiety issues. It was a bit of a crazy time in my life. And I ended up on prescription medication, and it was just a snowball effect, really. And I got to the point where I just did not feel good living in my skin. I was just constantly in that state of just living, surviving, I guess, more than anything else. So I had always been interested in health and wellness. I used to be an aerobic instructor, a trainer, but I never really focused on the nutrition side. And when I started to think about family planning, and I got pregnant right away, had a miscarriage, and then couldn't get pregnant again, things just really started to kind of come into focus for me. And it was at that stage in my life that I thought, I need to really start to focus on this, get control of my health, get control of, I don't want to live feeling like this anymore, get off this medication. I feel like I have the opportunity and the choices to be able to do this, but I don't know how to do it. So I started to do some research, really just gravitated towards this idea of functional or integrative medicine, which is really a whole health approach. It's mind, body, and spirit. And that really spoke to me on a lot of levels. And the more I researched, the more I started to clean up my diet, the more I started to manage my stress levels, the better my health became. And I was able to kick all of the meds and all that good stuff. And I ended up going back to school and becoming certified, and then going to graduate school, doing additional certifications in gut health, all that good stuff. And now it's my mission, really, truly, and passion in life to help as many people as I can while I'm here, while I have the opportunity to be on this amazing planet.
Which I know through others you are doing a fantastic job of doing. That's a cool and inspiring story, Jayne. So one of our core tenets to our company is happiness. Tell me what makes you happy.
Number one, feeling good in my body, because I know what it's like not to feel well. And I know a lot of people know that. So that's really important. Self-care should be the paramount, because you can't care for anyone else unless you're caring for yourself. Your glass will always be half empty. So when it comes to happiness, that is paramount, to feel good. And that is what I love to empower people every day, to have those tips to feel good in their body. And everyone needs something different. We are individuals. We definitely have different challenges, different struggles that we deal with throughout the course of our life. So there's a foundational method, which I think is incredibly important for everyone to know. But I also think there are some individual characteristics that we need to kind of zone in on what works for our body, and making those small, consistent shifts in our health every single day, in our life every single day, being consistent around it. Not perfect, nobody's perfect, but consistent is what makes those massive changes over time. So happiness for sure. And of course, being with my family, my beautiful daughter and my amazing husband, they are my everything in life. But I know if I don't take care of me, I can't do a good job serving them. And that's part of what I love as a mom, as a wife, all of those pieces. So that's true happiness.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's the old air airplane analogy, right? Put your air mask on before you can take care. You have to
That's
make
right.
sure you're healthy before you can care for others. And so I love that message. So this gut health phenomenon that's really, I'm just talking to one of my best friends this week, and he's going to a doctor professional near him, and he's about gut health. So educate us on the science or what's actually happening or the misnomers that we have when it comes to gut health and the importance of it for our overall body health. Because it's not intuitive to say my gut health has so much to do with the rest of my well-being.
Yeah, I love that. Such a good question. Oh my gosh, we can unpack that for an hour. But I'll boil it down a bit. Okay, let's talk basic science. Okay, our gut is located in the center of our body, correct? I kind of look at
Right.
this as our central powerhouse. Not just gut, but we talk about our chi, right? In Chinese medicine, they talk about the chi, they talk about your core when we talk about physical health, right? All of those pieces. So it would make sense, just talking logically, not even talking nutrition science for a second, that our gut is incredibly important. Now let's talk about Socrates, right? Do you remember what Socrates said? One of his big pieces of advice. I said Socrates, I meant Socrates is, that Greek god. And he had this idea around that all disease begins in the gut, right? So all disease actually stems from the gut. Now, this was, I mean, how many thousands of years ago that he had this revelation, right? So
Sure.
when we talk about basic fundamental nutrition science, and I said Socrates, I meant Hippocrates. Why am I blanking on Hippocrates? Yeah, I'm blanking on his
I
name,
know.
but
Makes sense.
I didn't
Makes
want to
sense.
get it wrong. But anyhow, yeah. So that basic science, that basic fundamental science, is that all disease begins in the gut. So now let's talk about where we are fast forward into modern nutrition science, because nutrition science is still very young, right? So we have gotten to the point now where we have the opportunity, we have the technology to be able to do all of this incredible research on gut microbes. Those are the good bacteria that actually live in your gut. And what nutrition science, just in the past 10 years, has identified and discovered is just how important, how vital each of these microbes are in every single process of your body, from neurotransmitters to thyroid health to mental well-being to digestion, all of those pieces, to gut lining health. So it's incredibly important. So what we know for sure is that we should have over 10,000 different strains of bacteria that are in our gut. Now, out of these, a lot of times we don't have 10,000 because of the type of food that we're putting in our body that's killing off some of these good microbes, because of environmental exposure around us. If we're, have chemicals in our house, chemicals in our outside environment, what we're breathing in every single day, because of antibiotics that unfortunately sometimes we go on way too many times, that are killing off not only the bad guys, but the good guys as well. And then we're not what we call re-inoculating. We're not putting all those good, diverse bacteria back in to help us. So in addition, we have over 100,000 bacteria that are working completely. So we have over that 10,000 amounts of different types of strains, right? That's why when you go to the store, a lot of people see on the shelf probiotics, right? You see them all the time, and
Right.
everybody's talking about probiotics, which is your good gut bacteria. They have multiple strains in there. And we know we have different types of species of lactobacillus, different types of species of bifidobacterium, all of those pieces. But we're like, what do we choose? What do we need? It's very confusing. But the bottom line is, the more whole foods that you put into your body, the more prebiotic fiber that those whole foods contain, they feed all of those good guys. And we need to continually feed those good guys, that good bacteria that's working and serving us every single day, so that it can do all of the jobs it needs to do. So all of the good digestion, right? Everything needs to be moving in hopefully one direction, right? Every single day. We need to make sure that we're absorbing our nutrients. They have a functionality around that. We need to make sure that we are feeding our microbes that support our dopamine and serotonin levels that actually are in our brain. We have learned that 90% of serotonin, 70% of dopamine is actually created in our gut. So it's really important that we're
happiness
doing
chemicals.
Those are that's your happiness hormones. So it's really important that we're doing that. And we also know that there's a massive information highway that's running between our brain and our gut. And we've always, or I'll say the sands of time, been under the impression that our brain speaks to our gut. Now, in the past 4 years, we've learned that actually those messages are coming more from our gut going up to our brain. So it's actually our gut is the one doing all of the chemical messenger pieces to our brain. Again, that's massive information that's really important to know around gut health.
So help me understand the foods at a high level, the foods that we should be putting in our bodies that promote good gut health, and conversely, the foods that we're likely all putting in our bodies that we don't recognize has a negative impact on our gut health. What are those? So we can start to compartmentalize. Even the first step, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, as the old Chinese proverb says. And I want our listeners to have the ability to at least start to make that connection. So instead of picking up a candy bar, they go to an apple. But that's very obvious.
Right.
Help us unpack that for a sec.
I love that. That's a great question. And that's exactly why I created a light eating, I call it a light that you can easily follow nutritional foundational structure. It's called my Fundamental 5. And this basically breaks it down as to what you should have on your plate at every single meal. And this is also, we're going to get to this in a bit, but yes, I'm going to show you guys, we're going to put it into action for you. So you can see it, you can utilize it, you can take it, and you can also go to my website and definitely pull off all these amazing recipes that are all built around the concept of the Fundamental 5. So that's Fundamental great. 5 is every single plate should have protein. Protein is a building block, and 9 times out of 10, we are not getting enough protein, right? That is typically what we see happening. We are a carb-fed nation. So we tend to lean heavily on carbs and not enough protein. So protein is number one. Right. Fat, that's another piece. Again, if you grew up in the 90s, we were told fat is bad, right? Remember the snack wells, the low fat craze, all of that good stuff. I could eat a box of snack wells thinking I'm doing myself a favor, right? So, but I'm talking about healthy fats, healthy omega-3s, healthy omega-6s. Our body needs those to be able to metabolize, to burn fuel, to be able to absorb nutrients in our body. So it's really important that we're getting healthy fats. And we'll talk about more about that when we talk about our smoothie too. The third component is greens. We need greens in our diet every day. You can get them either in the form of a salad. You can put them in smoothies. You can saute them, however it is that it works best for you. But greens provide water. They provide fiber. They provide those prebiotic fibers, which is what all of that good bacteria feeds on. We don't get enough greens in our diet. Then we also need fiber as an additional component. Again, in addition to the greens, all of those amazing colors of the rainbow of vegetables provide all different kinds of soluble and insoluble fibers. So those are so important for our digestive health, so important for those microbes, all of those important processes that happen every single second from a cellular point, right? Because our cells are constantly working to detox and to clean and they die off and then they they create and all of those pieces. So it's really important that we're feeding the colors of the rainbow. And then lastly, my fifth component, which I think is really important that I've learned through my nutritional
Pizza.
studies.
Are you going to say pizza?
Well, if it has all those components on it, yes,
Yeah, of course.
we can talk about that. But no, I was going to say spices. Spices are amazing. And in the form of fresh herbs, in the form of spices like cinnamon, curcumin, which is curcumin and turmeric. Cumin is an amazing spice, cardamom, all of those incredible spices that act as a synergistic component in your body, which means they help and assist with many processes, which is so important, especially when you put it with food. So you're doing yourself, it's kind of like you're putting in a couple of things, but you're doing a lot of good work with a few things. So that's really important. And, we don't have to overcomplicate. Yeah, we don't have to overcomplicate. Now, obviously, things we want to stay away from on the opposite side.
That's right.
I saw you go over.
Yeah, I want the counterbalance. So great, get them in my diet, and we can all Google and look up healthy things under each of these categories.
Right.
So yes, what should I not, besides, and we know pizza is taboo to talk about, but what else?
I'm not against pizza, just so you know. We can talk about that. Okay. You can make a healthy pizza. It's just how you make it. But no, and just so you know, I enjoy a good pizza. I'm Italian. So no one's taking my pizza away from me. But no, number one, obviously, I'm going to say obviously, because I feel like most people right now that, are going to be watching this are going to say sugar. Yeah, sugar is a big one. And sugar's cocaine. Sugar, that's just the bottom line. It is highly addictive. And upwards, I was just reading the recent stats, upwards of like 90% of Americans, not even the world, Americans are addicted to sugar. And we don't even realize it. A lot of times, we think we're choosing healthy things, processed, albeit, and we don't turn it around, and we don't read the label thoroughly. And before we know it, we're getting 30 to 50 grams of sugar. Now, how many grams of sugar should you be having a day? Well, if you're a woman, an adult woman, you should be having between 25 and 30. For men, because they're tend to be built a little bit larger, their metabolism works a little bit differently, upwards of no more than 35 grams of sugar a day. You would be surprised how quickly you can add up all of that sugar. I mean, just one can of Coke, check that out. We don't even realize how addicted we are to it until we try to remove it. And then we go, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I had this much sugar. So I would urge people to start to just pay attention to what they're putting in. Now, here's another piece that people ask me all the time. I love fruit. Fruit has sugar. Yes, you're right. Fruit does have sugar, and it is fructose. And there's different types of fruits have different amounts of sugar that can certainly affect your blood sugar levels. However, if you're eating the whole fruit, you're also getting a lot of fiber. And my little tip is, if you want to enjoy a piece of fruit for a snack, pair it with a fat, because you're going to slow down that metabolic process of how sugar actually absorbs into your bloodstream with that fat. So that's my little fancy tip. So sugar's number one. Number two, processed foods in general, right? We are a processed fast food nation. And that is
Doritos, right?
Well, you can choose healthier things. Listen, I am not like one of those people that says you can't have any of that, because that's not living. And you know what? The more you tell somebody that, the more it becomes a diet structure, and the more they're going to want to do the opposite. It's about abundance, right? Putting in more of the good things so you want less of the bad, and making choices around, okay, I'm not going to do the Doritos, but maybe I want something that's a little bit of a healthier chip with less ingredients. So
Right.
I get that we're busy people and sometimes, you got to do what you got to do, but you can still make healthier choices. Become a label reader. Because if you flip over a package of processed whatever, anything that was made in a plant versus from a plant, right? Made in a plant, that's
I
processed
like that.
food. So if you flip it over, you look at the label and you're seeing a list of 50 ingredients, some of which you can't even say, you have no idea how to pronounce them, probably not something you want to put in your body, right? It's probably not going to be serving you. So that is important. And that's something,
I
being
like that
in
a
the
lot.
nutrition space, I basically instill that into my child. So any families that are watching, you can do that as a family. And I encourage you to do it as a family, to learn it as a family. And if you already know how to do it, encourage your kids to learn that. Show them how much sugar and where to look, where to find the sugar content is. Show them how to become a label reader. That's really important. You're empowering them as they get older. Maybe they go into sports, they become athletes. They're just as they grow and become teenagers, their bodies are changing. It's so important to teach them. No one ever taught that to me. I don't know about you. Did you ever learn that as
No,
a
but
young guy?
never. And you're spot on, Jayne. The sooner we can instill these habits into our kids' lives, then when they're adults, we're not rewiring the whole thing. Right? So I
Right.
think that's smart. And something we've tried to do in our family, this whole food, one ingredient concept where we'll make things through a bunch of whole foods and you come up with the same thing and it's cleaner. And I guess my gut is healthier than I thought.
So my whole piece is one small, consistent action, right? So we're creating an actionable step for you guys today that you can take and that you can implement in your own life with your family. Kids love smoothies, adults love smoothies. So my idea of a healthy smoothie, this is not a snack smoothie, although we could make it a snack smoothie, but this is a meal smoothie. So for those of us that run in the morning, when I say run, I mean we're busy, we're constantly moving, right? We've got a busy day. This is an opportunity to just really do a quick meal, but get all of the key components, the fundamental 5 that we just talked about in. So this is my blueberry cacao smoothie that I know Andrew is very
All right.
excited about. He doesn't
No
think he likes
question.
cacao, but
I may be leaving it out.
I'm about to change his world. I think I could
All
get him
right.
in. So the first thing we want to do is a liquid, right? That's the base of the smoothie. So you want to pick. I'm a big component of minimal dairy. So I prefer to use a nut-based milk and unsweetened. So what are you using, Andrew?
I'm using almond
Okay,
milk.
almond. Okay, so I've got flax milk. I like flax and almond. I like flax because it also has, some additional fiber pieces in it. So, and it actually also makes a really creamy smoothie. Just an FYI, you can buy it in the store unsweetened. You can make your own almond milk. You can make your own cashew milk. Just make sure you're not putting any sweetener in it. So for a meal smoothie, you want at least 10 to 12 ounces of fluid. And this is all liquid. And this is all on my website too, that Andrew's going to give you the link
Sure.
for. So that's the first things first. Next, we're going to add some frozen berries. Now I like, this is a blueberry, but I like what I call low glycemic berries. That means they're less sugar. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, they're all on the lower glycemic index. You're going to want to put in, and they've got super high antioxidants, which is really important. I'm eyeballing this, but you want to do about a half a cup. I think Andrew's all measured out over there. Good job,
That's
Andrew.
it. I watched a lot of morning shows in my day.
I'm so impressed with you. So that's the next thing. So you've got some fruit in there. Then we want to put in some protein, right? We talked how important protein is. So you can use a protein powder. You could use a Greek yogurt if you're not a protein powder fan. You will get some protein in nut milk, not enough, or I'm sorry, nut butter, but not quite enough. So I do encourage like a protein powder. There's a lot of them out on the market. Make sure you get one that has minimal ingredients, right? Clean ingredients, organic if you can, no sugar added. A lot of them now are doing sugar alcohols like stevia, monk fruit. That's fine if it works for you. About 20 grams, which tends to be about 1 scoop of protein powder, is what you want per meal. If you are someone that works out a lot, you have a high metabolism, you may need a little bit more. You burn really fast. You may need a little bit more protein, but on average, it's about 20 grams of protein. So now we've got that. Next, we need our fats, right? We need our omega-3s. So I use an unsweetened nut butter. This one happens to be nutso. I like it because it's got a few different kinds of nuts in it. Plus, it's got flax and chia in it as well, which is insoluble fiber. I really like that. I'm going to put about a tablespoon in there of this nut butter. You can use any kind of nut butter you want. Just make sure that it's unsweetened. Anything really tastes good and works in here. Then we're also going to put in a healthy fat. So that is omega-3s, omega-6s. And we're going to put in a little bit of raw coconut butter. This will kind of round out our fat source. You can use MCT oil, which is a medium triglyceride oil. If you've ever heard of bulletproof coffee, that's a popular one.
I have. Okay.
It helps your body to create butyrate, which helps with fat burning. So I do about a tablespoon of the raw coconut butter. If you don't like it, you can omit it. You don't have to include it, just an FYI. Or you can try, like I said, the MCT oil. The next is we want a fiber component. So I've got some chia seeds here. You can use flax seeds, whatever works best for you. I do about a tablespoon of the chia seeds. I stick them right in there. They start to become soluble. They soften up in the liquid. So you've got that. Next, we talked about greens, how important greens are, right? You can use spinach. You can use, and you want to go for about a handful, which equals somewhere roughly around a cup. But you want to put in, again, about a handful of greens. You can use any kind of greens you want. Some people like kale. Spinach is very mild. You can use, I've got a mix of like butter lettuce here, different colors. You can use that. Just make sure it's washed before you put it in. And then lastly, we talk about spices, right? So you can use any kind of spice that you like that would work in here. Anything from cinnamon, turmeric, cardamom, ginger. I love to even put some fresh ginger into my smoothies. I highly recommend that. You can use powdered ginger. So you just want to put a little bit. This is cinnamon. You want to put about a teaspoon in there. I'm just eyeballing it for time's sake. Okay, so you've got a little bit of that. Now, there's no sweetener in here. If you are someone that feels like you need a little bit of sweetener, but obviously you don't want it to affect your blood sugar, you could use something like a sugar alcohol. This happens to be monk fruit. Monk fruit, I like monk fruit, and I like stevia, if that's something that works for you. Either it works for people or they don't like it at all. You just need a very little bit. And it is very, very sweet. But the reason why I like those two sugar alcohols versus like xylitol or anything like that, sorbitol, is because it doesn't digest in your gut. And it doesn't, it tends not to affect people gut wise. Xylitol tends to mess up your gut. So that is why I like those sugar alcohols. So you can use that. They are plant derived. You could also, if you're someone that doesn't have to worry so much about their blood sugar, you could use a small date as well if you need a sweetener. Dates are high in potassium. They're very good for you. So lastly, you can put some ice on here, and then you're just going to blend it up. right? You're just going to
All
put the
right.
top on, blend it up. You want to do it? You want to blend it up?
All right. I don't know how this is going to go.
All right.
I'm pulsing it. How? Just keep going?
Well, you want to put it on a full blend cycle. We can do it after. We don't have to do it right now. But you want to put it on a full blend cycle. So again, put in that ice, put it on a full blend cycle to make sure it's totally creamy. Everything is blended together well. And then at the very end, and I'm going to tell you why I do this too, I like to add, these are raw cacao nibs, okay? Raw cacao nibs. They are unsweetened chocolate. And you can use these if you don't like raw cacao nibs. You can use something like hemp hearts. You can use something like a raw walnut, something like that. And what I do is I put about a tablespoon in at the end after it's blended. I pulse it maybe once or twice. And then I have a smoothie that I can actually chew. Why do you want to chew your smoothie? Well, it's important to chew your smoothie because number one, when you chew, it activates your digestive enzymes. It creates digestive enzymes that are happening in your mouth, right? And you want that to help to break down your food. Number two, you want to chew because it helps your body, including your mind, it recognizes that you are actually eating versus drinking. And I think a lot of times with smoothies, we tend to take them down really fast and then we're still hungry. And so it's important that we're getting that chew factor in, and it will sustain you. It'll keep you fuller longer. And that's important as well. So choose something. I love raw cacao nibs. There's no sugar in there. I'm a chocolate fan, so that helps too. They're really good for you. They have a lot of antioxidants in them, but you can use something else. It doesn't have to be raw cacao nibs. But try that. Try chewing your smoothie, and it'll take you a little longer to get through, but it's also better for your body. So this is a full meal that we just made. The other really cool thing about
this is my lunch, Jayne.
That's your lunch. This is going to be mine too. So the other really cool thing about a smoothie is that if you are super busy in the morning, you only have a couple minutes before you got to get out the door with the kids, with work, with the dog, whatever it is, you can freeze everything that we just did, minus obviously the liquid. You can put it in a little Ziploc bag, a little stasher bag, make a bunch for the week, stick them in your freezer. All you have to do is pull out your blender, have it ready to go on the counter in the morning, right? Add your liquid, put in your frozen stash, and all you have to do is blend. And then you can add your favorite little nibs or whatever you've got right on top. And you are out the door. Put it in your favorite Yeti cup, 25, 30 ounce cup. And you are out the door and you've got a full meal. And you could be chewing on your way to work as you're listening to your favorite podcast and empowering yourself for the day. So it's that simple.
That's it. I love it, Jayne. Well, I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for joining me today. I know your time is precious and valuable, and sharing these tips and quick little recipe for all our listeners is awesome. Do me a favor. A lot of our people want to know more, learn more about you, follow you, maybe even engage in your programs. Where can they go to learn more about what you're doing? I know you're very active on social and newsletters, as I followed you and over the past couple of months and really have enjoyed everything. Where can we learn more?
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. So you can go to JayneWilliams.com. It's JAYNE Williams, just like it sounds, .com. And please sign up for my newsletter. I send out 2 weekly newsletters. I send out one every Tuesday. That's a blog with lots of times I'll put in new recipes. I talk about what's going on, all the fun stuff that I'm doing that you can get involved in. And then every Thursday, I do a second newsletter called Food for Thought, where I empower you with some really interesting nutrition science that you can use, simple tips that you can use. So that's one place. I also have a number of programs on there. You can just search around, check my site out. So you can find me there about what I've got going on, what programs are happening. I do work one-on-one with clients. You can reach out to me. We can talk about that. In addition, you can find me on Facebook at Jayne Williams Wellness, and on Instagram, I'm also Jayne_Williams Wellness. I'm on LinkedIn. So you can find me all over the place. But I have a brand new podcast called Elevated Wellness. I would love for you to check out my podcast. I invite all kinds of health experts, change makers, doers, athletes that come on, and I get to interview and talk to and provide you with empowered, healthy tips to live your best life. So I'd love for you to follow me over there on Apple Podcasts as well.
Well, Jayne, thank you so much. I learned a lot. I'm sure we all learned a lot today. For those listening, follow Jayne, check out JayneWilliams.com. I know you can get to a lot of these things she mentioned through there, and we'll share it as well. As always, I'm Andrew Rosen. Stay wealthy, stay healthy, stay happy. Take care.